Hey y'all, and welcome to How to Stay at Home Ec with Jenae. So today I'm going to talk about falling in love. Today is not an easy day. I've actually had a really difficult day. I don't know how your day has been. And maybe it's a great time to just take a moment and check in with yourself. How was your day? Whatever your answer is today, I love that about you. I know that these times can be really difficult, and I know that it can be really difficult to try to be positive through them, and I am not successful at that. So I'm coming to you today because this morning I woke up or actually yesterday I had a really difficult day. And today I woke up and I didn't go through my day as though today would be different. But, I think I did some practicing this morning, some sort of reframing, I guess. And I had the opportunity to speak with someone about some of the ways that I was feeling. And I think that's very important to have somebody that you can share all of your deepest, maybe darkest secrets with. So if you don't have somebody like that, professional or otherwise, I definitely hope that for you. But there was a time in the middle of the day, or maybe just before noon, where I realized that I wasn't practicing self-love. Because of my difficult day yesterday, I even woke up this morning and tried to write a grocery list and couldn't. My brain wouldn't write things down. I couldn't think of the things that I wanted to, I couldn't connect things with words. It was almost like there was a break halfway in my mind. Like I knew that I had just thought of something, but I couldn't remember what it was. Or I knew what I was thinking of, but I didn't know the word for it. And part of that was because of yesterday, because it was so difficult. I found myself in a really foggy, sort of hazy place. But at some point I went in and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take a shower. I'm going to clean off. I'm going to maybe take a bath, and I'm going to turn on some music. And I turned on Frank Sinatra radio on Pandora. And that doesn't have to be the thing that makes you realize that falling in love is like the best. But for me, it really, whatever music does this for you, whatever activity does this for you, whatever thing that brings you to the place where you remember what self-love is, and you remember maybe some of the things that you love, or you start doing, like my therapist said this morning, sometimes you have to put the cart before the horse. You start doing the things that make you feel loved, and then you feel loved. Not necessarily that you feel loved and then you do the things that that you feel loved and then you do the things that make you feel loved. Sometimes you have to do the things that you know you love in order to feel loved. So I was listening to Frank Sinatra radio today, and so it wasn't just like Frank Sinatra. It was other things too, and like Let's Fall in Love. And it's like, I wanted to talk to you today about falling in love. Being willing in this time to fall in love with something. Whether it's falling in love with yourself, oh my gosh, that's like the best case scenario, but maybe it's not that. Maybe you're you allow yourself to fall in love with something that you didn't know that you loved before. And you allow yourself kind of the rabbit hole, almost like the childlike passion of of a child who realizes, oh, this is really cool, and then dives into it and rolls around and kind of wallows in it and gets excited about it. And maybe you'll find out that you don't like it, but we have the time. What better time to find another coping mechanism since some of our other coping mechanisms are gone? So I'm not just talking about falling in love with somebody else. In fact, I think that I'm more talking about falling in love with yourself, or falling in love with some of the things that you love, or practicing the things that make you feel loved. But I totally forgot, like, with all the things that are going on and the state of the world and how difficult the day-to-day is, I forgot how much I love being in love. And I don't mean just with Jeremy. I mean like just being in love with something so much that I want it, or finding myself in a place, or like finding myself with such joy that it's so obvious what I want. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about being willing to fall in love, finding yourself in a space where you're at least open to the opportunity of falling in love. And maybe for you, that is falling in love with another person. This is a great time to find someone to love, especially, I think, I'm going to say this, for women, we have the opportunity to get to know, or to put men in a position where they have to get to know us. Like, there's no, like, sort of repartee. That's maybe even the wrong word, but there's no, like, physical expectation with the ways that people date normally. Like, nobody's buying anyone anything. People are exchanging ideas. People are exchanging histories. The best that we can do is use our voices and use, our videos to connect with other people in this time. So yeah, maybe it is another person, or maybe it's just something that you found and you're like, yeah, that's good. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some of the things that I love, because I find that, like, when somebody is talking about the things that they love, one of many things can happen, but I think one of two things usually happens. One is that you get in on it, right? You're like, I want in on that. I want to be either in love with something, or like, or, oh yeah, you're in love with this, well, I'm in love with this. Like, almost like, not really a one-upsmanship, but like oh yeah, I love that too, and I also love this. Or it can push a couple of buttons and you go, forget that girl. She is braggy and she just is saying all the things, and we can't all have all the things that we love all the time. If you respond to that, like if you respond to this like that, first off, turn off the video. I don't mean to be adding any sort of negativeness to your life. So if this feels negative to you, definitely pull yourself back from it. Close your computer, get out a piece of paper, and write down all of the things that you love. And maybe even make yourself a video just for you, of you bragging about the things that you love. Because really, one of the things that I miss about my life before COVID is that I got to have conversations with other women, particularly, about the things that I loved, and I got to hear about the things that they loved. And sometimes the things that they love ended up being the things that I loved, and I just didn't know, because they opened up my mind to those things. So I'm going to take a minute, and you can call it bragging if you want, but I'm going to talk about some of the things that I love, and some of the things that I found that I love in quarantine. So first off, things that I love. Today I put on this jumper. This is a long pantsuit sort of situation that I have worn to, like, every beach place I've ever been. I don't wear it a ton because it's a little saucy. I don't wear a bra with it. It has like a part in the legs. So it's almost like MC Hammer pants, but people think it's a dress because it's kind of like, I can't even tell you. I bought it at a boutique. It's like one of my favorite purchases of all time. And I realized today, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've got pictures of myself in Mexico wearing this. I have worn it out on occasion to like, I think I wore it to Gloria's once here. Like if I'm sitting out on a patio, you know, and like it's hot outside, it's just like the perfect, comfortable, and also slightly saucy situation. I feel so sexy in it. And so I decided to put that on for this video, and I'm going to wear it the rest of the day. And it just made me feel so good, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And then we'll talk about in quarantine a little bit. Things that I found that I love in quarantine. One, this video series. I hope that this is adding to your life. If it's not, it's okay. It's adding to mine. Even having moments where I can come to a safe space and talk to you guys and to myself, but to talk to you guys about the ways that we're surviving. I think it's historical, it's magical, it's connective, it's grounding, and it's one of the things that I love. So I love you. This is one of the things that I've found that I love in quarantine. I knew it before, but I, in quarantine, have begun falling in love with cheese. This is a book called The Cheese Plate. I spent my time at the lake house this weekend reading about cheese, and it was a good time. There's a lot more about it than I thought. Cheese is like it has the same idea as wine, where like the regions where it's grown in and the artisanship that puts it together makes it into something that's wholly unique. So I love that. Like that's one of my favorite things. Just that like there's so many things that go into cheese. And I could talk about cheese a lot. Also, you get to taste it. Also, commonly it's served with wine. And I love wine. So I've just had a really, really great time getting to know cheese. And I'm excited to share it with the people that I know. I have, invited other people to be a part of my, cheese revolution and bringing cheese back to the people that I love the most and recommending it. And people are really liking it, the people that I've invited. So I'm really excited about that. Cheese, bringing people together. It's my favorite. So that is one of the things that I've kind of allowed myself to rabbit hole in a little bit. And it has just been quite a bit of fun. I actually have a cheese class tonight. It's French cheeses. So it's going to be fab. And if you want to do a cheese class, I'll give you the names of the people who do it because it's really, really, really fun. And it's a great thing to look forward to. I try to take a class every week if I can. And it's just good. It's just really, really good. It's something that makes my week go by faster because I know that it's coming. And I learn so much every time I do it, and I feel almost like I'm traveling by tasting the product of a place that is so affected by the place that it comes from. And I love that. And that's one of the reasons why I love wine. Wine is something that I know and have known for a while that I love, but it is something that I love. And then one of the things that I've actually been doing is trying to, while being in my space, trying to incorporate other places into our space. So part of the way that I do that is by food. making foods from other places, trying to recreate dishes actually from some of the places that we've been. I've done a decent amount of traveling in the last couple of years and have enjoyed it very much. Didn't realize what I had to be able to travel. Remember when we used to be able to travel and it was like a Tuesday and it was cool? I remember. It will be that way again, but today it's not that way. So, but kind of bringing some of the meals and remembering the places that we've been and kind of pulling those things into our lives in a real and meaningful sort of way. One, by decor and like colors and things, and two, by recreating food and drinks from places. So last night I actually looked up and found on Pinterest, gotta love that, the recipe for a Mai Tai that I had when we were in Hawaii. And I made it at home, and I'm pretty sure it tasted pretty much exactly the same. It didn't look the same, but the flavor was amazing. And I don't know that it really transported me back there, but just kind of being able to bring that into my life brought me so much joy. Because it also reminds me that the things that we've done in the past, like that they're still a part of me, even though I can't do some of the things now that I was able to do a little bit ago. It gives me rest and peace knowing that what I experienced was real, and it makes me connect to my memories, and it makes me know that the future is bigger, you know? Like that the future is still there for us. We still have, if we have today and we had yesterday and we'll have tomorrow, like maybe we'll have the next day too. And I know that we can only live one day at a time right now. I think that it's paramount that we live that way. But I also think that it's important that we allow ourselves to transport back a little bit and transport forward a little bit and allow ourselves to see further in both directions so that we can be more confident as we walk step by step. I was in the grocery store today and I looked around, and for a moment, seeing everyone in masks was not weird. I looked around and I was like, this could be normal. Not that I want it to be, not that I like it, but it was okay. I felt it, and it was okay. For a minute, I just knew that it was all right, and that we were all getting through. It's what we were doing. We were buying food and getting through. So I love that too. I love baths, and I love music. And today, I always love Frank Sinatra, but today I'm very grateful to Frank Sinatra for bringing me back to love, to being in love. And so my question for you today is, what are you in love with? And if you're not sure, because it's just, there's too much going on, what did you used to be in love with? Okay? Maybe that brings forward feelings for you of, well, I can't do that right now. Fine. That's okay. I implore you to allow, when you are finding yourself experiencing in your mind or re-experiencing things that you know you're in love with, that instead of smacking them down every time and being like, well, I can't do that. Well, I can't do that. Well, I can't do that. And I'm talking from experience here. Instead of smacking them down, let's all try to allow them to propel you forward so that you can find more, so that you're going in the direction of things that you love the more, right? So allow it to help you gain momentum to feel into the feeling of falling in love for the very first time. Let's pretend that we're falling in love for the first time. Maybe for something that we've always been in love with, but because we forgot, we get to fall in love again, and it feels almost like the very first time. So you get to re-fall in love with the things you forgot that you were in love with, because the world is so overwhelming right now that it's difficult to remember that we have things that we are in love with. Maybe you're in love with skin products. Maybe you're in love with, the way that your face feels when you use like a nice exfoliant and you've moisturized and you've kind of like highlighted some things up. Maybe you love that feeling. Maybe you love the feeling of just like putting earrings in. Maybe you love the feeling of wearing your favorite beachy outfit. Maybe you love the feeling of wearing like lingerie around the house. Maybe you've always loved feeling sexy, but we don't have a place to feel sexy right now. That's a problem. You've got to create for yourself a space where you feel comfortable getting dolled up and no place to go. It's okay that you don't have a place to go. Make your space the space that you go. Make it the place that you want to be in, the place that you want to be dolled up in. At the beginning of this all, we had just gotten back, actually, and this is amazing. We had just gotten back from Napa, one of my very favorite trips of all time. It was only like 3 days maybe, and it was right before everything hit. So we got it in and nothing was going on, and we came back and we even went camping the next weekend, and then everything just went crazy and we were like, wait, what? But we had just gotten back from Napa, and so everything went mad, and one of the first memes that I saw on Facebook was like a wine tour or something, like let's go on a wine tour or something, and it was like a tiny little glass of wine inside of every room of a house or something, like how you deal with this. And this is when we thought that this was going to be done in like a week, 2 weeks, a month most, And so it was just this cute little like blueprint picture of like different glasses of wine in each room. And I just remember being so cheered up by that. And also I laughed. But like, what if we did that? What if you did like an around the world? Like, I love wine, so that would work for me. Maybe I don't need to be drinking in every room in my house, but the idea of making your space a space where you're excited to feel sexy in your space. One of the things that we're missing in this time is not having a place to go for that confident, radiant, powerful being that we are when we're around other people. Let's bring that back at home. Let's have it happen. Let's not have to have a place to go in order to feel those things. Let's bring it to our space. If there are things that you need to do with your space in the meantime, then, we can talk about it. That'd be great. I'm interested in getting involved because I love adapting your space for the types of feelings that you want to invoke, and also the way that you want to, like maybe that you want to invoke, or maybe like you're feeling away and you want to impress upon your space that feeling, right? So let's say you're feeling powerful and you want to remember what that powerful feeling feels like. I have a firm belief that you have the ability to make a space in your space exude that power and remind you of it. Just in the same way that outfits do that. This transports me to a sandy space, in a far off place where somebody hands me a drink, or just like kind of a hot muggy night, to places where I've never even been before. This outfit to me feels a way. Why can't your space do that? And I think it can. So I'm excited to talk more about that with you. But today I want to ask you, no, I'm not going to ask. Let's fall in love. Okay? Let's fall in love again with something. Let's fall in love with it, or with a couple of different things. If you don't want to choose one and you remember being in love with so many things, you can choose more than one, but let's just fall in love with one thing. We'll start with one thing. I don't know what that means for you today. I hope that you do. I hope that in watching this video, something pops into your head. And when I say, what do you love? What is your life missing? That you take that and that you fall in love with it again in your space. That you bring it to yourself without question, without doubt, that it becomes you in this moment, not tomorrow, not in 6 months from now, not in a year from now, not whatever time it is when vaccines happen. Today, that you find that love and that it allows you to feel at home in your body and at peace in your spirit. It's my favorite oracle card. I am at home in my body. I am at peace in my spirit. I think a great way to find yourself in that place is by falling in love. And so I hope that for you today. Thank you for joining me on How to Stay at Home Ec. In the next day or two, I'm going to be doing a video on having your own space, setting aside a space that is particularly yours for whatever you need it for. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So join me. But today, let's fall in love. I'll see you on the next episode of How to Stay at Home Ec. Big love, y'all.